Grand. Hi, hello to anyone watching this in the future, which will probably include Jesse Ross, in which case, hi Jesse. For anyone who's not Jesse, who doesn't know, this game was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays cool tabletop role-playing games online. You can find them at gauntlet-rpg.com. They do lots of stuff. There's a very busy blog, busy forums. There is a variety of podcasts. There is their monthly zine, which publishes supplements to existing games and original games. One of those games being the one we're playing tonight. More on that in a bit. And the Hangouts calendar, through which this game was arranged. This game was published in the aforementioned zine called Codex, published in Codex Dark 2. This game's called Trophy. It is a game of dark fantasy and horror, of doomed treasure hunters going into the forest to seek out their fortunes, only to find, to find the opposite of fortune, so to speak. It's not a game where happy endings are necessarily a given, although improbable happy endings have been accomplished in the past, usually by the most terrible of people. But we'll get to see if well, let's see what the caliber of people we're having today here. If you want to check out Trophy, there's be a link again down below. We are playing an incursion. Those are kind of like the modules used for Trophy. An incursion called the Forest of Blades, which at the time of this recording is not yet available for the general public. It'll be available in next month's Codex issue, Codex Melancholy. So that's a fun issue to be bundled in. Also found in that issue is A Good Society by way of Leo Tolstoy. So check that out. That's out next week on the Gauntlet. Check out links down below as always. Before I ramble on, let's introduce kind of like our players. We'll start with just players. We'll see our characters later. So I should introduce myself. My name's Leandro. I use he/him pronouns. I wrote this incursion, so if everything falls off a cliff, that's my bad. I'm gonna go back to the screen, just like if you want to introduce yourself, pronouns, and maybe shout out a cool thing on the internet. Doesn't have to be something you wrote, or were involved in, but if you just think it's cool and people need eyes on that, just give it a shout. But order the screen. So let's start with yourself, Einar.
Hi, I'm Einar, he/him pronouns. Can't think of any shoutouts right now, so I'll pass it on.
That's fine. I always bring this at the very last minute. So, but I know someone who has something to plug. Might be something involved with Trophy. I don't know. Something that might only be available in the most recent future in the next couple of days. I don't know. David, you want to enlighten us on that?
Certainly, yeah. Hi, my name is David. I use he/him pronouns. I've also written an incursion for Trophy. Mine is called Throne of the Forest Queen, and it's a sort of fairy tale inspired module, which is currently available in Codex Glamour. This is this month's issue of Codex. If, as Leandro mentioned, if you back by the end of the month, you'll have access to that. In fact, I believe if you're very sneaky and you back on the 1st of July, you will in fact get access to both issues of Codex for the price of 1 month. So do consider that. I will also just very briefly mention as we're here, and whether or not it'll still be active. When you're watching this, I don't know, but when we were talking about inspiration for this module just before we began, there's currently a game out called Bleak Spirit that's kickstarting. It's based on Lovecraft-esque, if you've played that before. It's sort of set. It covers like the world exploring part of Dark Souls, and I think it's from what Leandro was saying that's also a touchstone for this incursion. So.
Yeah. So let's before we get into this incursion, actually, let's talk about safety first, because it's always good to have that on the table. But yes, this incursion has a bit of a touch of the Dark Souls. In fact, it's It's basically this incursion is a very specific 2-minute run in a very specific level in Dark Souls 3. But well, I shouldn't talk about that. I shouldn't demystify this. But yeah, let's talk about safety. So we want to make sure that we're playing in a safe and comfortable environment. So remind folks, we have our lines and veils. Lines are things that can happen in fiction, that can't happen. Sorry, can't happen in fiction. Won't. It's not. It's off the table. Like, we're not going to cross that line, so to speak. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but we're not gonna like focus on it. Like, we'll fast forward. We're just pan the camera. Like, it happens in fiction, but we're not gonna concentrate. So we also have the X guard. So basically, if we roll into a scene where folks are made uncomfortable for whatever reason, something that they probably maybe they didn't expect, they can say they want to X card that. It could be any detail of what's happening in the scene. They want to say they want to X card that on the screen, on the chat, or on the roll for your party. I might ask some questions on what elements being X carded, but no one gets the question if it's played. If it's played, bring a roll back and start over. And finally, we have an open door policy. Basically, what that means is that if folks need to step away from the table for whatever reason, whether there's an emergency they can't get away from, or they're just more tired than they thought and they need a breather, or you just really, really need to go, if that happens at any time, people can pause the game no matter what's happening, even if something tense and horrible is happening, and the tension will immediately break as soon as you call for a call for a break because you need to go. That's completely fine. Your comfort is more important. That's definitely something I'd like to emphasize. But yes, this incursion, the Forest of Blades. I guess I'll just read the blurb here. So it's an old story, but an enticing one. This legend, the day of shattered skies and broken steel, when warriors, mighty in power and prestige, proved their worth and 1,000 blades clashed. Scholars, priests, historians, bards, they all differ on who led what side or what even the battle was about. Hence its many names. The Sunset War, the Battle for the Sky, the Sundering of Kaldur, the Infernal Clash, so on and so forth. All they could agree is on that it was on a scale beyond what any today could imagine. A forest now grew upon that ancient battlefield. The old stories continue that within that forest lay powerful artifacts, weapons crafted to smite the ground and tear the sky apart. Not to mention heirlooms of the past, the loot of soldiers still unclaimed. Any soul brave enough and clever enough to negotiate the forest would surely come out with a sizable bounty. But the stories do warn that this forest had been watered by the blood of the dead. And the dead prefer to be undisturbed. So let's kind of open this scene. It's the edge of the forest, and once again, I think this forest, and it looks. I'm imagining these are tall, gray, like sentinel, like trees from which it's hard to really see what's beyond it, but it's a bit of a muggy day. The two of you can smell like rain as like the two of you are ferried upon this cart by this lone, mysterious carriage driver who specializes in bringing would-be hunters to these sorts of sites, to these sorts of places. As the carriage kind of stops at the mouth of the forest, and the ferryman, the carriage driver gruffly says, "Off you pop now." As the two of you kind of like get off, I want like a description of what each character looks like as they get off this carriage, standing on in the mouth of this forest. What kind of like visual cues do we see of of their drives, of their backgrounds, and even of the rituals they've learned? And yeah, if give you like a minute to think about that, but anyone who wants to jump in first can jump in first.
Yeah, sure. So Orlun is quite a tall man. He looks like he probably was once bigger than he is now. He's now looking a bit drawn and haggard. He's got a thickly stubbled face and hair cut short with some grey starting to speckle it. He's wearing hard wearing but also hard worn clothes. Maybe some like pieces of just some leather Under Armour sort of thing on him that looks like it's been patched over many times. He doesn't appear to be carrying any large weapons, but he does have like a pickaxe and a hammer and a crowbar, several other tools about his person, and just strapped to his belt a long knife that looks in like quite well made, probably slightly out of keeping with the rest of his gear, and definitely looks like a military blade rather than an eating knife, put it that way.
Yeah, Kasien is not that tall, but with his metal helmet, with his sort of pointed metal helmet, he is almost exactly as tall as Orlun. And we can see him sort of blink and be sort of uncomfortable. He looks uncomfortable all of the time in his and from a distance it sort of looks strange that he has this military helmet because he wears a sort of ragged cape, but underneath the cape you can clearly see what at least used to be a uniform that he has attempted to take meticulous care of, but you can see the wear and tear, the colors, the once bright colors clearly faded, and you can see him sort of always sort of scratching the strap under the strap of his helmet, and sort of checking his epaulets under his coat. And he also has a musket, which he carries over his shoulder. Yeah, he definitely looks uncomfortable in the face of this forest, but he also looks quite determined.
Yeah. Did either of you talk throughout this journey and this carriage ride? Do you two recognize each other, or like, do you two know each other? Do you think?
So I think Kasien is not the type to, or he would not be comfortable talking in this situation. But I think, Orlun, you said you had the knife you had was clearly military. So Kasien would have recognized that and sort of tried to conceal that he recognized it, but nevertheless, he took note of that.
Cool. Yeah, again, I think Orlun's probably not the most talkative of chaps, so I think they've probably not exchanged many words on the journey here, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, go on. Okay. So I think as soon as you go off, the carriage driver is like, "I'll be back at dawn for the rest of you," and drives off. The mouth of the forest here is very obviously delineated because there is like a wall of trees, but the mouth kind of like curves in, and you can see that the name, the Forest of Blades, is quite earned because ringing the way into the forest is well swords stuck pierced down to the ground, like small little crosses, and they're different types as well, but they all make like a pathway into the forest. They're sort of varying different makes, different shapes, different like some of them are rusted, some of them are pristine, some of them have been there for what looks like ages, some of them look like they've turned to stone, but there's quite a lot of them, and they're almost like directing you into the forest. And I assume, because otherwise, if you don't, there's no game, the two of you enter the forest. Just quiet pleasantries, and I think as soon as you enter, you go through the trees, the sun kind of just goes. The trees are tall. They are like gray poles around you, and the only path are the blades marking their way. And so for like a few minutes, it's just the marching sounds of the two of you just silently like negotiating this path. And the weird thing is that, it was already kind of a muggy day. It just rained, so there's a bit of clouds, but sun is hard to find in through the canopy until the path stops and it opens up. And it opens up immediately to this clearing, and you see a light and a campfire, and you see like what looks like a bunch of tents and some rotted battlements, and suddenly these three figures in rags just kind of like suddenly stand up and scramble to their feet, and one of them at the front kind of like stands up and pulls out a sword, and the two of you can see that this sword it doesn't look like it's been shined in a long time. It's rusted and it looks weak, but he points the sword at the two of you, and you see this as well, Kasien, that he's wearing a uniform. This person, they're wearing a uniform much like yourselves. Might be hidden underneath like the tattered cloak that they've got, and it's probably not as well kept as yours is. It's stained with like muck and grime, and his helm is not the regulation of your army. It's a completely different helm. But yeah, he like pulls out his sword and shouts, "We are the shield of the forest. You be trespassers?"
Ahoy there, soldier. We need entrance to the forest.
The person on his left, your right, scoffs and takes out a spear from behind him, and you can see again it's a spear that's seen through better days. The blade on the end looks like it's been like nailed into very haphazardly into this pole, and they say, "Ha! What business would you have in this forest that does not involve plunder?"
I seek something deep within the forest that I believe will restore me. Would you deny me this?
The third person speaks up and says, "Yes, for that is our duty. We are the shield of the forest, as my good brother has said." This person is quite small, but they pull out a knife much like yours, Orlun. But unlike yours, is again not as well maintained. It looks shabby. It looks like you'll fall apart on the first blow. This third person continues. Oh, go on. Okay, this third person continues. There is nothing here that is worth breaking the peace of the dead.
There is business we have here, friends. I would hope you would not stand in our way. We are here to pick over corpses for sure, but there are corpses enough without having to make any fresh ones.
The one in the middle, the one with the military uniform, and says, what does he say? He says, frankly, that is one of many a speech we have heard. You seek only for your own gain. You do not think of what you are besmirching having set foot in this forest. And he points his sword at you, Kasien. You besmirch the very uniform you wear by seeking to ruin the peace of your brethren, of your brothers and sisters who died so long ago.
Well, it seems like you would know what it means to besmirch the uniform. And you speak of duty? Well, I cannot but think that you have forsaken the most important duty you had long ago. And I pull out my musket and take aim.
Okay, all right. We're getting to a roll. All right, cool. All right, so let's go through how to roll here in Trophy. So yeah, when you attempt a risky task, say what you hope will happen, and ask the GM and other players what could possibly go wrong. So, Kasien, what do you hope will happen here?
I hope that he will realize that at least or the first person who attacks will die to my musket. And I hope they will consider their lives more worthy than their current duty.
Okay, so you're not shooting yet. You're threatening them.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what if? All right, what could possibly go wrong? Do you have an idea, Orlun? What could possibly go wrong? What's that?
Yeah, I think that the thing that's the worst outcome here, I think, would be that they don't back down from the challenge and they attack us. But the muggy, damp air that we've been in has wetted the powder in the musket and it won't go off.
Yeah. All right. So take one light colored die if the task is something you're skilled at, because out of your occupation or your background. Yeah, you're a marksman. you're good at I think you handle the musket in a way that will make them see that you're very good at handling this musket. Yeah, so take one die. If you want a second die, I can give you a bargain.
Let's get a bargain.
Okay. You can get one die, but one of them will attack. You can. That means that if you succeed, you'll cow down the other two, but one of them will attack. And I think just to make it more clear who it is, it's the one with the knife. They look angry compared to the other two. Well, the leader, the one with the sword, looks determined, honor bound dude. The one with the spear looks haughty, as if like more of this. And the one with the knife looks edgy, looks like they're ready to really go. Ooh, here's a question I meant to ask. See, I'm already getting nervous. So one of them is wearing kind of like a uniform. The one with the knife, they're wearing like what looks like armor, like plate armor. Actually, no, the one with the spear. That makes more sense. The one that looks like they're wearing like plate armor. Looks old. Like what's Orlun, what's a story you've heard about this sort of not the lead. Well, okay. What's a story you've heard about the Nameless Legion and like that this armor kind of reminds you of?
Yeah, so it's said that the Nameless Legion started off their life as a band of mercenaries many centuries ago, and they came from further east into the kingdom. And the armor that this person with the spear is wearing is of that Eastern design. Probably not that old. It doesn't look centuries old, certainly, but at least to Orlun's eye. But it's yeah, that's that reminds him.
All right, Eastern design. I'll note that down. Yeah, but the one with the knife looks kind of raring to go, and they're wearing like practical leathers, unlike the other two. One of them's wearing a military uniform, the other one's wearing old armor. The knife wielding one looks like they're ready to go, and you can think as both of you can see like the hand holding the knife has this like very prominent like cracked ring as well, as they look like they're ready. But yeah, if you take the Devil's Bargain. Yeah, one of them will attack. Will you take it, Kasien?
I'll take it, and I think it also makes sense that I'm risking my mind here because I'm willing to kill, and that is something that is already numbing my soul, and it's going to continue numbing my soul if I keep killing, but I'm willing to risk it.
God, I love it when players just buy into the fiction. Like, yeah. Let's open up our minds to ruin. Let's just do it from the first ring. Let's just do it. All right. So yeah, roll your 3 dice.
Okay, so my highest is a white die with a 4.
Okay. All right. Cool. So on a 4, you succeed, but there's a complication. The GM will describe the complication. Well, okay. So you aim your musket. Who you aim it at?
Who do I have an indication of who's like most likely to attack, or is that just something my player wouldn't no, my character would not know?
They probably would know because you're military. You're a veteran. But I think just because of sentimentality, you're probably aiming at the one with the uniform, same as yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so I think what's going to happen is you're a marksman. You're not gonna misfire this. You're trained to do this. I think the one with the military uniform. There's a tense like just Mexican standoff, so to speak. But I think the military sword uniform kind of like slowly lowers his sword and puts it in the sheath, and the one with the knife says, "But good brother," and the man with the sword, the military man, says, "The forest will claim them soon enough. It always. It's fed well." And the knife-wielding one's like, "But they don't need to disrespect our forefathers. That's what we're here for. That's why we're a shield. I won't stand for this. You You may have just a mere relic, but I have true power. And he is going to okay, here's what's gonna happen. He's going to like he's going to like he's gonna make a fist with the knife, the hand holding the knife, and he's going to like punch the air with his cracked ring. And Orlun, tell me, what's this? You're gonna be hit by some sort of attack. There's some sort of magical attack, Orlun. Tell me, what sort of attack is it? Like, what do you feel? Is it like a physical feeling or a mental feeling, or?
Yeah, I think it's almost like the force of his blow is transmitted through the air. It's like feels like being hit. It feels almost like being hit by a person, but like as if it's like a kind of a jet of like high pressure air sort of thing, compressed air. That I think, sends him reeling back.
Yeah, I think maybe that sensation just notched down just a bit, because if this ring wasn't cracked, you would hit the full force. Like, it would torture your heart. And I think the knife wielding one kind of like growls in frustration and says that my ancestors wield weapons that could shape reality. None of you deserve to lay a finger upon their relics. They're ours. And I think his two compatriots kind of like stand back as if to be like, "Oh, finally we can get rid of this motherfucker." Orlun, what do you do? This guy has essentially shot you with an airsoft gun, but he still shot you.
Yeah. I think Orlun's hand goes to the knife on his belt. And he says, I have no desire to hurt you, but that does not mean I will not. Now, back down, as my friend so generously offered you. Or it will not go well for you.
I think in fiction, this guy is not gonna back down because he used the effect of a devil's bargain. So I think what he's going to say is, "You think me coward? You think me craven? No. Unsheath your weapon, my good man, and prove to me that you're worthy of the blades found in this forest. Stand against the might of the shield. Stand against the might of history. Go on, up your blade, good man." And he is going to basically, what I'm going to term, West Side Story you.
Yeah. So Orlun will draw his, like, it's a long blade, like a sort of military style blade, that he holds in a sort of defensive position, and he's going to do that sort of thing of like trying to keep his distance and circling a bit. As he's doing so, he's going to try and put himself between the man and further into the forest.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think even his two compatriots are backing away a bit, because I think if we look at the shot, the contrast, they look ragged, they look tired and pathetic compared to the two of you. The two of you look resplendent, like you're just, you're equipped for this. While they've been here on the edge, barely living. But yeah, I think the man with the knife is so like caught up that he doesn't notice you like positioning him. And really, you can see this, Orlun, you're a professional. It would be easy. This man is a lot of talk. He's no coward for sure, but that doesn't mean he's anything else. What do you do?
I think I'm going to wait for him to come at me. And basically, my plan is as he comes for me, I'm going to stab him. Mostly, I'm not like necessarily trying to kill him. I don't think Orlun cares much one way or the other, but that's not his intent. But he's basically going to stab him, and with that shock, is just going to bolt into the forest and leave him there.
Okay. I hope you signaled this to Kasien, or at least I think Kasien's always could probably just run after it. But okay, I want this roll, and the roll isn't whether you succeed or not. You will. It's just how well you're going to do it. And
Sure
I think,
thing.
Yeah, I think the highest will be you'll have as much control over this as you want, as in whether you kill him or not. And the lowest would be, well, I'll determine how well you do. At least how it looks. So okay. Let's look through your occupations. So is this kind of like escape?
That's
Yeah.
more what I'm going for here. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't care about beating him in a fight. I just want to get away from him, essentially.
Okay, cool. So that's what you're trying. All right.
Yeah.
You can have a light die. Do you want to bargain?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you are gonna be separated from Kasien because you didn't tell him that this was gonna happen for a bit. Not for long, but you're gonna be separated for a bit for sure.
Sure thing. I think that could be quite interesting. So yeah, I'll take that. Again, I will also take a dark die just because I think both mind and body are possibly at risk here.
Yeah, cool. Do so.
Well, body definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Jeez, you're all going for dark dice fairly.
That is a 5. It's my highest. But I do also have a 5 on the dark die. I have a 5 on the light and the dark, basically.
Yeah. Okay, let me just check. If you're equal to or higher, then yes, it counts as a ruin roll.
Yeah.
And yeah. So bump your ruin up.
My ruin will increase, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So all right. Okay. Let's let me just roll some dice because I don't want to have to pick. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so since it's a 5, tell me how you're doing this as the man with the knife comes for you. Comes for you.
Yeah, so I think he comes at me and he's angry and not really thinking straight. So I think I do kind of the thing of I just push up as he comes in, I grab his wrist, push him up, and sink my own knife into his belly, and sort of kick him off the end of the blade, so,
yeah.
Sorry, lad, but I did warn you. And then I'm just going to back away from him. The blade still held out towards him as I leave him bleeding on the floor.
Yeah, his voice kind of, he tries to say something and his voice kind of gurgles as he kind of like lies on the ground, bleeding. Are you gonna make a run for it?
Yes, and basically once I've got out of strike range, I will just turn and run.
I think the last thing you'll see as you run is like he's reaching out for you, but he drops his knife, and Kasien, you can see like the ring in his finger, and these other two competitors are basically turned their backs. They washed their hands of this happening, as Orlun runs into the darkness, and in Kasien, you see like part of what you've heard, I guess, with the forest. Like, actually, no, tell me, what sort of artifacts have you heard is in this forest, Kasien? Things that could restore your family name, things that could bring power to yourself. What kind of weapons of war, magical or mystical or otherwise, have you heard about this place?
I think actually the thing that Kasien is most interested in, that he has heard rumors about, is not a weapon, but it's like the equivalent of a Purple Heart. Sort of a war cross that his ancestor got for extraordinary valor in battle, and he thinks that if he finds this, it will prove to his old squad, his old troop, that he is worthy, that he is not a coward as they think.
Yeah, I think at the light of the campfire, as this knife guy, the man with the knife, kind of like lays bleeding and dying, you kind of see caught on this ring, the light of fire, you see an inscription, but it's barely see through the cracks, and it's an inscription of it's a picture of that cross they're seeking, and for that moment, yeah, that's caught in light. And he slumps and he dies, trying to gurgle out his last words. For yourself, though, Orlun, you start. Let's see. Let's look at this list of conditions. You've seen your fair share of bloodshed, for sure. You've felt the stench of blood and piss and whatnot when people, die in horrible ways. Have you ever been around when those bodies rot? Like when they putrefact?
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't get the best pickings then, but what you lack in quality, you can make up for in quantity at that stage.
Yeah. Well, it's a familiar stench then, but it fills your nostrils. It's just rot. It's just bodies decomposing. There's none around as you kind of run through this dark path. It's still just like a dry, colorless fog around you or these trees, but you smell it. You don't know where it's coming from, but it refuses to escape your nostrils. Just this horrible stench. But back to you, Kasien. What do? You're just standing there looking at this dead man, and the other two have kind of basically turned their backs.
So I watch quietly as this man bleeds out, and I scratch my chin. I sort of look to them and just so, will you see to the dignity of this man? And I'm assuming I won't get an answer, but
I think the one with the uniform you have nods and says, "We always do." I think he moves and starts taking off stuff. He takes the ring, looks at it, and tosses it in the ground. And they start. Well, he drags the body to his companion, and they start stripping it of things. And it's this was a man who was speaking to the two of you just moments ago. And Orlun killed him. And it's now just a body.
I just sigh and I didn't really expect any better. This is what the world looks to me like right now. And I stare into the woods after Orlun, thinking that I should probably find him. I will, even though I kind of despise what he did. I know I would probably have done the same, and we will probably last longer together. So I sit down and look for his tracks and go about following them.
All right. We've been here for an hour. Let's take like a 10-minute break and then go deeper into the forest. So we'll be right back.
This is great so far.
Oh, glad you're enjoying yourself so far.
Sure, you have nothing to be nervous about.
No, it could only get well, could only get somewhere. I can't promise if it gets better. All right, so everyone's back. How are y'all? I just want to check in. How's folks doing? Everything is still grand?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Cool. Fab. All right. Well, besides the fact that the two of you are separated from each other and are going into a I think the watchword for where you're going in now is that everything is just dark and confusing and hard to parse out. There is like the moment you like step away from like the campfire, either of you in your respective times, it's just everything's occluded. There's no light. There's just a fog in the trees as you walk past them. Like there's not even like noises of like fauna or anywhere. It is just for the moment, for like the first few minutes, as the two of you in your own separate ways just kind of march, or I guess in Orlun's case, run for a bit and then slow down and and march. It's disorientating. There's just it's more than just a fog that's kind of come down on you. It's it's like there's a term used in the military, it's called the fog of war, when it feels like there's so much going on that it's hard to tell what's happening. You know, that's how you get stuff like people send in military strikes at places where there aren't any enemies because there's just no information. This is kind of like that on a visual sense. There is just no information. It's a well, for one of you, there's just no information. But for you, Kasien, you have someone who was right before you that you're trying to track down. Yes? So, yes, you want to give that a go?
Yeah, so since there is no vision, I guess this is purely by touch and maybe even smell. Just like feeling my way across the muddy forest floor for the tracks and smelling the leather of Orlun's boots.
Nice.
I do have I'm skilled in tracking, so that's one white die.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll just roll that one now.
Okay, all right. Just that one. You didn't want to bargain or anything, no?
No. I'll
Okay.
save that for later.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
It's a 1.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, you try your best, but there is just so much. There's so much information you need to like properly track someone, you know. You've got like, yeah, the boots in the strength, but again, just the lack of info, this fog, this occluding fog, kind of like getting into your nostrils, into your eyesight, where you can't say anything but what's directly in front of you. It could be like just a bunch of trees. It's so much, and you quickly like find yourself, you're following some sort of path. You just don't know what, but there's no sound until you're singing in the distance, and then you hear slowly as you can keep walking forward, just it's a familiar hymn. Actually, it's something you certainly belted out during those long tiring marches to the front line, or from base to base, from place to place, something to keep your mind off, you know, the drudgery of waiting in between having to fight to the death in service of some king or some country or whatever. But yeah, what's this hymn? What's this like? No, it's not a hymn. It's a marching chorus. It's a marching tune. And it's very familiar to you, and it's being sung with gusto by a lot of people. What is this hymn?
So it just goes, oh ho, we march on. Oh ho, we march. And it just keeps going like that. It's a monotonous hymn just for marching. And it brings memories for sure. Memories of my old company of soldiers. The 32nd band of musketeers.
All right. I think there's a voice that bellows out with gusto higher than everyone else. Who is this person that you recognize this voice of?
Oh, that's our drill sergeant, who well, we like her because she does keep our spirits up when we march, despite being overly strict.
What happened to her?
She was shot in the head while she was the first one to go of our troop, actually. And it was her death that taught me the first lesson of the brutality of war and the randomness that death can come at any moment, even right after you've held an uplifting speech.
Roll me a ruin roll. While you're there, reminiscing. So just one dark die.
That's one actually, but still goes up, doesn't it? Since no, I'm at a 2. Oh.
Yeah, you had 2, so you're still fine. You're holding it together. But yeah, I think yes, you hear that yo-ho sound just off the distance, and the thing is, no matter how hard you like walk and pace and try to find where it's coming from, you never will. You don't. You just don't. It's always just one step ahead of you. Speaking of being one step ahead, Orlun, you run into this this occluding forest, and I forgot to give you the complication you got for rolling a 5. You did kill someone. I mean, and the getting separated was a devil's bargain. The complication is as soon as you kind of stop to catch your breath and maybe unsheath your knife, the ring is on your finger. Just there. Yeah.
I'm gonna take it off my finger, or try and take it off my finger, and put it into my pocket.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, then I'm going to just fish out like a rag from my for my pack and clean off the blade and resheath it. I'll probably then kind of sort of properly notice that like channel smell as I, stop to take a breath, and I'll, probably like blow out my nose and then like get my water flask and just like rinse my mouth out and spit, but before like fastening it back up and putting it on. And then I think he's going to try and gauge the direction that he thinks he needs to be heading in, and start kind of hands out in front of him to sort of feel for trees, slowly putting his feet down to try and avoid tripping over roots and stuff. Is going to start moving forwards.
All right. Sounds like another roll. And again, this just determine like see if you get to the next bit unscathed. You've got tracking as well.
Yep.
Fab. Someday I'm gonna ask why. As an aside, every time I see that messenger roll, it's like, why does it have wrestling? Like, as a skill, that's I don't know. Messengers could wrestle. All right, yeah. So yeah, you got one die. Do you want to bargain? And it doesn't have to be just me. I know you can also offer a devil's bargain if you want. And I say this knowing because I'm still trying to be good at that. But yeah, do you want a bargain?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to suggestions.
All right. Let me look through this list here. All right. Do you have any suggestions on what the complication that will happen once if he accepts this bargain? Hold on. Let me look at this list. Here's a simple one. I think as you're kind of groping around, I think you will just you'll twist your foot in trying to find this place or trying to find a way out of the undergrowth of all these like trees. That's a simple, nice one.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. So 2 lights.
Oh, that's a 6.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's fab. So yeah, I think there will be a point where you stumble as you kind of like groping your way out of this, but because you rolled a 6 and poor Kasien rolled a 1, you'll get to this place to the next bit before he does, so you get a chance. But yeah, I think you stumble against all the dark, including stuff, and I think there is a moment where your foot catches like a root, and you fall down, and it's a terrible pain. You fall down to a stench, but when you kind of like look up, you see that there's light, and you're in this quite big clearing actually, and this clearing is, I think from the first glance, the first thing you see is that this looks like it's just like a war camp. You see a lot of like rotted tents. You see like what's like a big banner tent that's kind of like collapsed under like age and whatnot. The sheets are all rotted, mildew. There's hastily erected battlements like made of wood from nearby trees, and you can see like the path out of the clearing is through like these battlements. Some of them are half rotted or whatnot. There is a pile of rusted armor just like to your left, and you can see I mean, you've been smelling the stench of rot so far, but that's certainly that's a very it's a stenchful sort of that's not a word. It's a pile of armor that's kind of like blooming in fungi and rust and whatnot, and every now and then you see like more of these like corpses like stripped with loot. You see like there's like what looks like a bunch of chests poking out of like some of the tents that are fallen down. You see like there's a bunch of banners on the battlements as well. None of them the one you're looking for, unfortunately, but they look very familiar. But there's still like a ring of trees, and you still can barely see, and you can see now that the sun has gone, and there's just a dry, occluding fog around everywhere, but there's still a light, because in the middle of the war camp is a bonfire. Dark Souls, yeah, Dark Souls. There's like this lonely little bonfire, and when you get up, foot twisted in pain, you see that this bonfire seems to be lit by like what looks like a broken staff. There's a staff jutting out of, like I say, there's like a ring of rocks around like wood and whatnot, and there's a staff jutting out of it. It's clearly like it looks like a wizard staff, because it's the bulbous like wood head that's like, it looks like it's the branches are forming like this fire, and it's on fire. So there's this little bonfire in this camp. And so you've got a moment to yourself to like root through this camp before Kasien gets here.
Yeah, and I think I will do just that. I'm not expecting much given the state of this place, but I am going to have a look around, see if there's anything of value left in the camp or on the bodies. And I figure this is as good a point as any to see if Kasien catches up with me. So
Okay. So you've seen this staff, and it's, well, you felt the effects of the ring before you, but you've seen this stuff now, and I'm like, can I just ask then, what did Orlun expect to find in this forest?
I think in some ways pretty much this. He's expecting the leftovers of battles from years past. He wasn't sure how much would still be here, or how long it had been since the last battles were fought here.
Yeah. The stories say centuries, millennia even. This is clearly recent. Yeah. So I think as you're rooting through, I'm going to use these very fine tables that have been out in different pages. Roll me a dark and a light die, and it's just to see what you'll find.
Sure thing. That's 5 on the light, 2 on the dark.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. So this is quite fitting, actually. I think as you poke through, you'll find. I think what you find is an iron shield, which is it looks sturdy. It looks like it's been through a few battles, but it has this like winged lion in relief, and yeah, I think it's a very nice shield. That's that's the most you'll find. I think this winged lion. You're a Kingsguard. You've seen a lot of things. What's this winged lion signify, you think?
Yeah, I think that this lion, or the winged lion, is the it's the symbol of the Duke of Amberit. This clearly belonged to his family, or his family's regiment.
Yeah, seems fairly nice. Oh god.
Yeah. No, and I think I'm going to sort of, sling that over, put a bit of rope through the handle and sling that over my back for now.
Yeah.
And I think probably once I've had that kind of quick once over, I'm going to start gathering some of the bodies and throwing them on the bonfire.
What are you trying to do? I want to know what are you trying to do? You're trying to like
just burn the bodies.
Fair enough. I think this is the site that you come across, Kasien, as you follow the marching tunes. And I think as soon as you break through the tree clover and see Orlun burning a bunch of bodies, just seeing him burning a bunch of bodies, the marching tunes just fade away. And yeah, there's Orlun limping a bit, probably burning a bunch of bodies on this bonfire made of this staff. And I'll ask you the same question I asked. Actually, no. I'll give you a moment to like react to this, Kasien.
So Kasien just comes out of this fog, and he was in a kind of a trance, the same kind of trance that he went into on these really long marches. with the song just going on and on in his head. And then there's this bonfire of bodies, and Orlun is there, and he just slumps because he knows now that all of those girls and boys that he used to march with, they're gone, and he is all that is left. And he has his shame still, and he knows that becomes so clear when he knows that this person, this murderer, is his best and most faithful companion right now.
God, that's
So,
bleak.
and but he goes up to him, goes up to Orlun, and just stands there looking to see how he reacts.
Well, looks like you made it through, lad.
I did. No thanks to you. But I guess it's only fair. We're here in the forest for our own purposes.
Yep. I'll happily watch your back as you watch mine. But you need to be ready to act when things turn bad.
Oh, don't worry about that. I know bad.
I thought you might.
All right, so I want to ask Kasien as well. What did you expect to find in this forest? Besides the purple heart, that like that's what you want to find. But what did you expect?
I expect to find the relics are the remains of a great battle, the great battle that my ancestors fought in. I expect to find ruins and ghosts, but nothing living. The place is lost. It's not a place people go. But I think there might be, remains of the dead remains of the old soldiers.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, Orlun. Okay, now I'll ask you, Orlun, what's the state of these bodies you're burning? They're like they've been dead because if they've been dead for 100,000 years, surely they would have decomposed and been reclaimed by the earth now. But they are dead bodies here. What's the state of them?
Yeah, I think that they look, yeah, putrefying, decomposing. But yeah, probably by my reckoning, maybe a month or so. Maybe a bit longer, but yeah, they're still definitely recognizable as, decomposing human bodies rather than being like skeletal or the like.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we'll have this like small moment of Orlun burning these bodies, and Kasien, you can root through the camp, see if you find something that Orlun hasn't picked up yet, if you want.
I think Kasien will just. I will just stand by. Maybe just pick up a bit of wood and see if I can make a torch. But no looting.
Fair enough. Yeah, you can totally make a torch. That's when you come in and see. Yeah, you see that the bonfire, despite the number of bodies being heaved upon it, the bonfire never goes out. It's just there, doing its job. Well, this curtain should be doing its job, not shining the sun in my eye. It's still doing that. All right. So I have this quiet moment, and then I guess onward. Yeah. So you walk through so you leave the way out of the camp, and you'll probably have to move a bit slower because Orlun not only has a twisted foot but has now acquired a shield. Which could be helpful. Who knows? And the forest kind of begins to thin out. It's not like what it was before the camp, where it was just an oppressive sort of tightness between the trees. No, the paths kind of like clear out just a bit. They just widen. It's almost like the trees are like, as you move deeper, it's almost like the trees are moving away from the two of you. Obviously, you can't see it, but it's more like, yeah, the path just keeps widening. It's like, I'll ask you this, Kasien, because you are a veteran. As you kind of walk through these paths, do you see like signs of when armies trod upon here? Like, just little bits and pieces.
Yeah, so I think I see like a bullet lodged in a tree, and rusted bayonets in the moss undergrowth, and maybe some skulls with a helmet similar to mine.
Oh, skulls are always good to see. Well, what about you, Orlun? What do you see as you kind of walk through this path? And you've got a light now, thanks to Kasien. You've lit that torch, and there's still like just this fog. You can't really see light from the sun if the sun's still out. I don't even know what time of the day it is. But yeah, what are little like signs you see, Orlun?
Yeah, I think I see, again, similar to before, at the on the battlements back at the camp. I just see the odd pole that was obviously used as for a standard on it, but the standards themselves have all rotted and if they're there, they're just in scraps and tatters. And occasionally something that might look like a banner hanging, but it's just like maybe a remnants of clothing from a body hanging in a tree, fluttering in the breeze.
Yeah. Yeah, so this pace goes on for a while, and again, it's quiet. It's horribly quiet. There's just no sounds of, like, not even birds, squirrels, I don't know, stuff that lives in the forest. No signs beyond the two of you just marching. Oh, this curtain. Just marching for a bit. And I think you feel, Oren, the ring on in your pocket, it starts to like, it feels heavy in your pocket. It's like it's charging up. It's just like suddenly, not just the stench, but like its presence on you is like it's starting to become inescapable as the two of you walk for a bit and then gone.
Yeah, I think I'm going to slip one of my hands into my pocket and just put the ring on my finger to see if it feels any lighter.
When he puts it in your finger, it feels not heavy, but it feels like, I'm trying to find the right word. Not tough, but like solid. There we go. It feels solid in your finger. And like, it's certainly probably a bit heavier than when you last wore it, but it feels like it's full, or at least it's filling up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna if I catch a glance of the ring on Orlun's finger, just gonna say, I see you've already tasted of the forest's bounty.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, here's hoping it has enough for both of us.
I'm sure we'll both find what we're looking for here.
That would certainly be a change of pace.
I'm muted. Sorry. All right. So I think as soon as you kind of say that, you kind of like turn a corner, and well, suddenly you're at a crossroads. Suddenly there are like two paths to the left and two paths in front of you. It's like suddenly the paths bloom out, and in the middle, right in front of you, is what's clearly a rundown, derelict inn. It's kind of, it looks like it's seen through some hard times, and I think even the style of this inn looks outdated compared to what the two of you are used to. But yeah, it's seemingly intact. And I think kind of when you see that in Orlun, you can kind of feel the pain on your foot quite a bit. Yeah, it's a place to take stock, because suddenly there's like 4 paths for you to take. And
Yeah, I'll say maybe we could rest here a while. I get the feeling shelter will be in short supply in this place.
I think you're right, and looks like you could use some help with that. And I point to you and nod to your foot.
At least getting off it for a while would help, I think.
I could bind it for you. It's a thing we learned in the troop to take care of each other. It's important on long marches.
I think so the two of you walk into this inn, and it's surprisingly pristine. You walk into like the when you walk in, you're kind of going to like the dining room bar area, and there's tables and chairs all like made of wood and whatnot. There's nothing on there's stuff on the shelves behind the bar, just some bottles. They're a bit dusty. There's like stairs going up to like what you probably assume will probably be some bedrooms. There's another door to what looks like an office, but it's surprisingly. The thing is, that war camp was picked clean, but for some reason this inn isn't. It's still kind of intact, and there's like remnants of the past are still here. And yeah, I think I'm gonna ask two of you each for what signs do each of you, Kasien and Orlun, find in this inn of other hunters like yourselves who've been through this inn.
I think there is there's like a bag that's clearly been used to haul treasure, loot, but it's empty and there's blood stains on it.
Of course, there has to be bloodstains. Why couldn't it just be like, I don't know, snot or pus or anything? Why'd it have to be bloodstains?
Yeah, and I think there's carved into the wood of the bar. There's a couple of names carved into it with a date, and the date is maybe a couple of years ago, but certainly contemporary, not something that's ancient like this inn appears to be.
Yeah, this inn just. You've been walking through like this forest that was oppressive and kind of like, it's not great. But this inn is like warm. It's homey. The two of you have a moment to just sit down and talk and just reminisce about stuff. And I think, okay, I'm gonna ask a question, and we're gonna answer that after we take another break. And I think the question I want to ask is like, what did the two of you leave behind to come to this place? And we'll come back at the half-hour mark. So we'll be back in 8 minutes. That's right, folks. All right, welcome back. Just want to do a quick check-in as well. How's things with y'all? Still good? Cool. All right. Give you a minute there, Einar. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this Google Doc. Okay, yeah. So I think I left with a question for the two of you guys to kind of like settle in for a moment. With probably Kasien looking after Orlun's foot for a moment. I asked, what did this inn, this like homey place, kind of like remind you of where you came from, or what you had left behind to come here?
So I think Kasien left behind his hometown, and there was not that much left holding him there, but there was this inn, was barkeep, and of course the proximity to his estranged family, but yeah, that's so even though it was a fairly sad existence in his hometown as well, he was kind of disgraced and lost his wife had left him, and he wouldn't even let him see his daughter. It was still home, and still, the comfort of the familiar.
What about you, Orlun? What did you leave behind to come here?
Very little, really, but Orlun's life has mostly been on the road for a while now, staying at inns, not unlike this. But the thing that he misses here is the company of fellow travelers, the noise and the life that makes an inn more than just a building.
I think it's kind of as you observe around this place, this inn, you see like in the back at the bar, there's like a bunch of what looks like some old bottles, some stuff that's probably aged poorly. Don't drink those. There's like what you guys find in like an old inn, but there is like a scrap of a banner there. It only shows like a piece, but like, yeah, tell me, what does this banner look like? If it was like its full, the full banner that you wanted, but there's only like a torn scrap kind of nailed to the wall of this inn. What does it look like?
So I think it is just a scrap of black cloth, most with maybe a little bit of white stitching on it. I think the banner of the Nameless Legion is a black banner with a white, like a mailed fist holding a sword. Quite plain, really, as these things go. But that was kind of their shtick, really.
Yeah, I think Kasien, you probably see Orlun seeing this banner. Just see it for a moment, and then let me roll some dice, just so I don't know what will hit you. Mm. So you don't know what time it is or whatnot. How long do you stay in this inn, do you think?
Probably longer than is wise, or probably longer than Kasien would judge wise. He because he gets lost in the memories. He also finds it comforting to be able to help someone in the way he used to help his former comrades in war.
Oh, you actually want to roll that to see if you how well you can help, Orlun?
Yeah. So let's see.
What you got?
I'm not sure if any of my skills apply. Maybe just the warfare, but I'll I'll take a bargain and risk my mind here, since this is
Okay.
probably it's probably not too wise to go too far down memory lane.
Probably not while you're trying to patch up someone. Devil's bargain. Got an idea there, David? What could happen? What's a complication?
Yeah, I think it maybe does, kind of building on what we were saying before, but I think maybe it does just take longer than we expected, and there's yeah, and maybe maybe the extra time we spend here puts us at more risk of something finding us, or
I think I know what's gonna happen if you take this, which I know. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like that. You're, Kasien is gonna take their time, partially because they're not they're not the most experienced at this, and they're getting lost in their memories to the point that, like, Orlin, you kind of see as they kind of like slip into the fugue of like, back when things were good, the good old days. But you, Orlin, you hear sounds coming from outside. You hear. Let me roll this die. Oh, lovely. You hear two sounds actually, mixed in a cacophony. You hear what sounds like dogs, panting, starved, emaciated dogs, sloppily feasting on something. Which is weird because there weren't anything to feast on when you like had come across this inn, but suddenly there's just that sound of dogs just hungrily, having their fill. And also, Orlin, you hear the sounds of marching as well. Marching from some sort of direction from afar, but you can hear it. And I think the ring on your finger just fills up that bit more and just feels that bit more solid. So yeah, Kasien, roll, make this roll. Are you taking that bargain? Because if you don't, all that goes away. But okay, yeah, take
I
it.
do. Yeah.
Okay. All that I just spent time describing, that only happens if you take that bargain.
How can I not take it then?
You could, but you're rolling a
yeah,
dark die.
I know. Just my conscience. 5 is the highest, and that means it's a ruin roll.
Yep. Pop up your
So
yeah, I think what's gonna happen is as soon as like you finish binding up Orlun, and I don't know, Orlun, how you're reacting to all the sounds you're suddenly hearing.
He's probably going to tense up a bit, and sort of his hand is going to go back to the knife on his belt again.
For you though, Kasien, just as like you finish binding and you probably say all done, whatnot, just when you just hear a second of the dogs and the marching, suddenly all sound cuts out. Suddenly you can't hear anything except this small high-pitched whine. It's as if like your hearing has been muffled, except for, you know, just this small whistle. You know, it's like what happens when an explosion happens near you. You know, it's like how do they describe it in Children of Men? It's like your cells in your ear are dying, and this is the last thing you hear. But yeah, so that's all you can hear when an arrow shoots through a window and just whistles past your head, Orlun. In case you didn't hear any of that. But yeah, so that just happened.
So Orlun is going to say, "Get down, lad," and he's going to drop to the floor of the inn. And I think he's going to reach around and pull the winged lion shield off and strap it to his arm and hold it sort of protectively over his head. And I think he's probably going to start crawling towards the window that the arrow came through.
Kasien, do you see what Orlun's doing, but you don't hear what he just said? What do you do, Kasien?
I think this is the case where Kasien sees Orlun doing familiar things. This is like war stuff, soldier stuff. So even though he's sort of lost in this strange muted landscape of sound, he recognizes Orlun's movements, and he drops down beside him, taking cover behind the shield, raises his musket. But he's also just back in the in the old war now. He's really not. It's not because he's reacting to the threat that is there. It's just all the instincts taking over.
All right. I think as you kind of the two of you duck down, more arrows kind of like just shoot through the windows and kind of like smash into the wall behind you. Orlun, you said you were calling towards someplace. What are you trying to do? David, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to, as I said, just crawl towards the window, raise my shield up first, and cautiously look over the edge of it to see who or what is attacking us.
All right. That sounds like a risky task.
It does.
Now, I know one of your skills says appraisal, and I meant that to be like about figuring out what the worth of something is.
Yeah, that is fair. I don't think I have a particularly applicable skill for this.
Okay. So, do you want to bargain?
Yeah, I'll hear a bargain.
All right. So your shield looks tough, but isn't really. What's gonna happen is as you kind of raise up, it's gonna take a brunt of arrows. It's gonna survive, but it's not gonna be able to take any more. So let's say you use it to defend yourself later, it's only gonna take like one more blow.
Sure thing. Yeah, that sounds fair.
All right. Are you risking mind or body?
I think I'm definitely risking body here.
All right, cool.
That's a 4.
All right, 4 on the light.
With light highest, yeah.
All right. So you're gonna succeed, and again, the arrows pierce through the shield, kind of shot against the shield, And as you raise the shield down, probably like I don't know how you do that with all the arrows sticking out, but you do it anyway. And I think you just barely glimpse what looks like, they look like men. They're men in armor, but not like the chivalrous like knight armor that you saw. These are armors for like foot soldiers, common men. They have like a surcoat over like their plated armor, probably just a bunch of leathers. And you here's the complication. You see them as they're marching towards you, and you can't see behind their helmets. You can barely see their faces, but they are gonna their hands are gonna burst through the windows and grab you by the neck, Orlun. So that's the complication. So, Kasien, you don't need to hear anything to see all this happening. What do you do?
As soon as the hand comes through the window, I just sort of stand up halfway and stab with my bayonet at the hand.
All right, cool. So that's a very risky task there. Yeah. So you're skilled in warfare. You're finally here. You're at war. You got that. You want a bargain? Or do you just want to add a dark die? Oh, you want a bargain? Okay, all right. Yeah. I think the main thing is you're stabbing the hand, but there's more than one person. They will see you. You will become a target. For like everyone, the other things. I think Orlun, you saw three figures before. The closest smashed through the window and grabbed you by the neck, choking you with just a horrible force. And again, the stench is everywhere. But okay, yeah, you want to take that bargain? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Are you pushing your mind, or you think this is just normal for you?
Well, I think body is at least. I think this is not the risking the mind so much, but the body is definitely at risk here. Okay, 6 is the highest, and it's a dark die.
Ooh, bump it up.
I'm already at 4.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting there. It's always fun when your ruin gets terribly high. Yeah, I think you stab and you feel like a brief flare of pain in the area of the hand of your arm where you stab through the hand, and suddenly like you have a memory of this wound that you received. What's the memory of?
I think this is a memory of a time very similar to the time we just had with Orlun and me fixing up his ankle. As it was in a lull in the fighting, where there was a mist all over, and we were in these sort of quasi trenches when we were stormed by sort of armored company with swords and shields who had snuck up in the by cover of the mist and stabbed me with his sword through the arm that I was using to fix up my my buddy. Sorry,
I am
muted.
muted. Yes, I just realized that. So yeah, there's a brief flare pain in your hand as like this memory suddenly floods you. This new memory that, well, it's now yours, and you feel a scar on your hand or on your arm where there wasn't. Orlun, the attack is a success. It's a 6, so you stab it through, and the hand lets go of you, Orlun. You get a chance to back away as as the two of you. Well, actually, no, Orlun. You hear footsteps coming towards the front door. As you back away, you see like there's a back door through the inn out there, and you can hear like swords being unsheathed, arrows kind of flying. Again, this is the fog of war. Suddenly, there's like noise everywhere. Dogs barking, just metallic greaves kind of rapping against wood. I can hear just someone is about to burst through the door. What do you do, Orlun?
I think that I'm going to yell, "Run, lad, out the back door!" And I'm going to stand ready, basically. And when the first person bursts through the door, I'm basically just going to fling the shield at them and run.
Yeah, you're good at this escaping stuff, aren't you? It's almost like you're skilled for it. Okay, so yeah, that definitely counts for escape. Do you want to bargain?
I think I'm just going to go ahead and roll this one.
Okay, cool. Just the one die. All right.
I think I'm probably risking body here once again because, yeah.
Yeah, you're in a tight spot.
Exactly. Ooh, that's a 3 is my highest. That's on
Light.
on my light. I think I'm going to add in another dark dice and re-roll
Okay.
because this can only end well. Hey, that is a 6. It is on the dark dice.
Yes. All right. Okay. So I think because it's a 6, you shout loud enough to pierce through the whistle that Kasien is hearing. To run, there's a back door. And when you fling the shield, the first thing that bursts through is a man. Oh, go on. Sorry about the thing. Okay, sorry. You fling your shield and well, the first thing that bursts through is a man, a soldier in an axe. You can't see their face. They're all covered in armor and again a circle and whatnot. But when you fling your shield, it bangs against their chest, and the entire first half of their body just falls backwards. Like the force of shield just tears this corpse in half. And I think that's what the stench that only you can smell so far, Orlun. Suddenly, Kasien, you're smelling it as well, and you kind of smell it from like the bayonet of your musket as well. These things are dead, and they're trying to add you to their numbers. But yeah, I think because it's a 6, Orlun. Actually, I'll bump up your ruin. I hope you did that. Yeah, I think this 6. Yeah, Kasien, you're gonna be able to follow Orlun as you run past the back of the inn, and you see a brief glance of like this troop about to lay siege to the inn. And again, these things look like they're covered in armor. You can't see it, but you can suddenly like you're aware of the smell of them, which Orlun has always been aware of. And I'm gonna give Orlun another condition. Oh boy. Actually, I'll roll this just to make this easier for myself. Oh god, it's the worst one. Orlun, give me a memory of you dying.
Sure.
It's not a nice death as well.
Yeah. No. Yeah, surrounded by my many grandchildren. No. It's we see a battlefield, and there are men in like gleaming armor, sort of shining silver armor filigreed with gold, well, not actually silver, but shining silver, carrying ornate shields, bearing we'll call it like a Pegasus, which is the symbol of the royal house, and we see this. There's maybe only like about 20, 30 of them defending this like muddy hill on a battlefield. There's a man up front giving sort of the giving a speech, there's an inspiring speech, and we see Orlun looking younger and healthier and clean shaven, likewise clad in armor, and holding the banner of the Kingsguard. And at that point, a massed sort of cavalry charge of knights charges their position, and sort of they stand bravely, form a shield wall. But these knights just clatter through them with their lances. Orlun is caught in the chest by a spear, by a lance, and you can see sort of blood welling up from underneath his armor as he falls. And we see just sort of the horses trampling over him, but the banner is still clasped in his hand as he bleeds out on the battlefield.
That's rough. So that memory kind of swims through your mind, Orlun, as you and Kasien kind of run. Kasien, how are you feeling? Just want a quick check in on you. How are you doing, buddy?
Kasien is he was actually doing quite well. Being just back into the old routine of fighting, caring for fighting side by side with his men, men and women. But running away, that is taking a toll on him, as being a coward is exactly the thing that he's hoping to, or being branded a coward is exactly the thing he is hoping to escape by claiming his trophy. So he's sort of as he's running, he's just looking over his shoulder and almost stopping and running back, but he still presses on.
It is a bit ridiculous to run back there. I think as the two of you are kind of running a bit, you see like the path again is still quite wide. And you see some familiar sights again. Those blades shepherding you deeper. You see some quite unfamiliar sights. You see like trees that looks like they sprouted out of armor, like on the roots there are like these pauldrons and legs, and there's like a chest cavity that kind of like the tree has burst out of, and there are branches where the gloves have sprung out of, and you can see like what looks like twisted faces on the bark. You hear these horrible roaring sounds amidst the woods. If you look up, you see some vultures, carrion birds, kind of like, or not, some crows, kind of like just fluttering about, looking at the two of you as you run and run and run until finally you break free of the forest. You run and suddenly there's an open field. It's jarringly open. It's like suddenly, bang, as much space as you can get. But again, there's that damnable fog. This horrible occluding fog, and you can't see anything except in the distance this tiny little light. It's like this little light of refuge calling towards the two of you. And though you can't probably hear this, Kasien, because again, the whistle, the pitch, Orlun, you hear war happening around you. And under the fog, suddenly in front of the two of you, this soldier staggers out. 3 arrows through his neck. He kind of reaches towards the two of you and kind of just collapses and falls in front of you. And you can hear like arrows whistling in the air. You can hear the clash of steel just reverberating through. And suddenly you hear like the thunder, the crack of thunder somewhere, and this brilliant light all the way to right just flashes for a moment, and what looks like debris and earth flies through the mist or through the fog. Anyway, what do you do, the two of you, standing on this edge?
I think Kasien is once he sees the signs of that this is a battle, he just goes into battle mode, and so he wants to sort of find his commander and get his orders. So he just grabs his musket and tightens the strap on his helmet. Takes a quick look at Orlun and gestures for him to follow, and then just tries to make his way across the battlefield to find the battle lines.
All right. Orlun, do you follow Kasien's lead?
Yes, I will. Though first, I'm going to grab a sword off of this the soldier that fell in front of us.
Fair enough. Yeah, you can grab his sword. It looks like it's brand new. Like this soldier, they have never used it in battle before, and never will. Or maybe he will. Who knows? Who knows what's happening here? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll follow Kasien through the through the fog.
All right, Kasien, this is a fairly risky task. What you're doing. All right, so let's see. You're plunging into battle. This is warfare. You know what you're doing. All right. Do you want to bargain?
Sure.
All right. That's I was gonna reuse the whole split the two of you apart, but that's not the point of this. So let me look through this list so I can figure something out. If you have a bargain as well, David, feel free. Because the point of what you're trying to do is you're trying to get through this battlefield, right?
Yes, and I'm also trying to see if there's like some sort of organized body that's so that's at least Kasien's instinct is to find the sort of commanding officer on his side, if there is such a thing, and if not, then just get through it.
Okay, so go on, David.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if so for a devil's bargain, the maybe Einar is, an officer does give him an order, and it's to do something fairly grim.
Ooh, yes, I think what this role is going to determine is how you get through this. But yeah, if you take this bargain, you will be given orders like the good soldier you are. All right, and you're risking mind and body.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So I'll take the bargain as well.
3 dice.
And okay, so a 5 on the ruin die.
Okay, so bump up your ruin.
I'm at 5 now.
Yeah,
That-
so you can now reduce it by destroying treasure, sabotaging your fellow treasure hunters, or preventing the use of rituals.
I'm sorry, Orlun.
Yeah, all right. So, okay. So the complication is. Ooh. All right. Well, the thing about it is I'm going to turn on some lights because I'm doing that thing where I'm starting to resemble Jason. And I don't like that. It's a bit weird. Let me just turn on the lights here. Actually, no, I'll turn on the lights. I'm feeling freaked out a bit. There we go. Okay, so yeah, just to ruin the mood there, I had to pause the game to turn on some lights. Yeah, so tell me about this run through this landscape. Kasien.
So it is one of these war movie shots where there's a handheld camera, and it focuses on our faces mostly, but when we run, and then there's suddenly someone screaming, running past us, and bodies falling in our path. We jump over them, and there's like arrows flying and just piercing the ground right between our feet. And we run over this sort of ledge, not a ledge, but thing in the landscape. Not sure what that's called.
Yeah.
And we can see the sort of sea of bodies on the other side.
Yeah. There's a
and
veritable mountain of them.
Yeah. But we just ran through, and it's one moment, at one point in time, there's probably like we have to climb over this sort of mountain of bodies and roll off the other side. But then we're in the clear.
Yeah, I think you'll land you into like a trench, the two of you, as you make this hell run. Ugh. And I think when you land into this trench, you kind of startle a few folks, and one of them draws a sword and just says, "Halt! Who goes?" And they see your uniform, and you can kind of see in the gloom, this is a much cleaner, clean-shaven version of the man from the shield of the forest, the man with the rusted sword. He's wearing even the exact same uniform you're wearing, and he puts his sword back and she was like, good. You're one of the are you one of our runners, soldier? Doesn't matter. You're under my command now. And he kind of roots through and is like, enemies are breaking through. We need to send a signal back to the fort town that we are holding fast. Can I rely on you to carry this signal to the town? Soldier?
And I just quickly just take off the cloak that covers my uniform and straighten up, and aye, you can rely on me, sir.
Good. He doesn't notice you at all, Orlun, but you do notice when he hands Kasien a banner, a quite familiar banner, and the soldier kind of put a hand on your shoulder, Kasien, and says, "Now this banner needs to make it to Fort Town. Under no circumstances would you let anyone get a hold of this banner. Is that understood, soldier?"
Understood.
Godspeed. And he claps you off and turns. And what did the two of you do? Orlun, how are you doing? How are you doing after this hell run through this trench? You have to run through more.
Yeah, so I think Orlun is a bit winded, and the treatment that he received earlier for his leg is helping, but not, as much as he'd like, maybe. And as well, with that memory of that death still ringing in his mind, and the mud and blood around him, I think is kind of starting to, let's say, just look the worse for wear in general. Is he looking a bit ragged around the edges?
I might ask you to roll a ruin roll then, because
Sure.
Kasien's used to this sort of thing. But Orlun, you were a Kingsguard. You were, a bodyguard and a traveler, and you ran away from things. This is on a scale that's just horrific.
Yeah, that's me hitting my my ruin 5 as well.
Hey, there we go. All right, let's hit you with one more condition. I think this is a simple one. I think when you watch like the two soldiers doing, you see like their Kasien, did you describe uniforms like dark green or something like that?
Well, I think it's the main color is very dark, but there's like bright spots of red and orange.
Yeah. I think you see the shock of black and white as well from the banner, Orlun. But then it's almost like the color around you starts to get bleached out. Like it's already kind of gray and grim where you are, but what little bits of color left just start to like fade as this horrible filter of gray kind of like obscures your senses. It's like, again, the fog of war is pressing heavily on you. And yeah, I think I'll frame the two of you kind of clambering out of the trench, and you see the light from the fort town just that bit brighter. Orlun, what do you do?
Yeah, so, well, I guess we better press on and get that banner to where it needs to be. Come on, lad.
Yes. Can I count on you, soldier?
Of course.
Excellent. Let's run.
Also, I'll notice, well, Orlun, the ring in your finger feels full now. And I think it almost kind of crackles as this next run, you will see a bit more fantastical sights. Well, I say fantastical. There's nothing fantastical about this place. Let's not make this place fantastical. As again, arrows kind of just barely, like arrows hitting next to your feet. I think I won't make you roll for this next run because I'm more interested to see what happens when you get there. But I think I'm gonna ask each of you for another memory. I think when a arrow just whistles past your head, Kasien, as you carry the banner of the Nameless Legion, you feel a scar tear itself into life on your cheek. What's the memory of receiving this scar?
It's of running through the forest, running after my whole company of soldiers, comrades, were slain, and I somehow miraculously was not hit in the ambush, and I just ran and ran through the forest and didn't feel anything until I ran into a branch that cut across my cheek. I remember the feeling of irony that this was going to be my the most serious wound I got during this entire exchange, while my all all of my other brothers and sisters in arms were dead.
Yeah, I think as the two of you run, you feel the air around you suddenly charge up, and you see, like, to your left, far, maybe a bit too close to comfort, this lightning bolt crash down, and you hear the screams of hundreds as they are just, well, the screams of tens, because some of those hundreds didn't even get a chance to say anything as this bolt of energy smashes down near to them. But the two of you keep running. And Orlun, tell me how you die. Or tell me a memory of you dying.
Sure. I think we see a similar vision to the one we saw before. Once again, the men in shining armor are arrayed on this hillside. Orlun is once again holding this banner as a horde of infantrymen charge into their lines, and Orlun surges forwards. He's got the banner held up in his left hand, a sword in his right, and he's laying, out foes to the left and the right of him, cutting them down. But the numbers, and he sort of dies one of those like sort of death by 1,000 cuts sort of thing. He just keeps taking blow after blow and staggering on through, but eventually it's too much, and he sort of drops to his knees and collapses into the mud of the battlefield. And one of the soldiers just brings up his spear and plunges it into him as he's lying on the ground.
That's metal and sad. Metal sad. Yeah, so yes, you'll make this run, and it feels like you've been running for years as cacophony just washes all over you. But soon the light gets bigger and bigger, and you break through the fog, and you see a gate. A gate that's open. You see walls, and you see like a road leading towards this gigantic bonfire. And when you break through the fog, suddenly all the sounds of war just disappear. As you see beyond this gate, a town. It looks old, certainly centuries old, but you know what houses look like. You know what roads look like. And for a moment, the battle just fades away as the two of you kind of like walk through this gate and walk towards the massive bonfire. And you see that it's a funeral pyre. It's a bonfire made of corpses, flinging ash and, well, ash mostly, into the air. You hear a voice, Kasien, and says, "Is that the banner, soldier?"
Why, yes, it is. I was supposed to bring it, and I did.
Well, you've done your duty, soldier, as I only know you will. And if you turn, you see that you didn't give her a name, but it's your drill sergeant. And she says, "I always knew that putting all of you at your paces would bring out the best in you, and it seems you have become that best. What's your okay? No, she'll call you cadet, because you're still a cadet in her eyes. Cadet Kasien.
Oh, wow. You don't know how much that means to me, Orla. No, that's too close to Orla. Um, Anya.
That's Lieutenant Anya to you, cadet. And she kind of smiles, and she holds out her hands as if to say, give me that banner. Orlun, you're watching this.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, and she takes it, and I think you notice her face is pristine. Actually, no, her face is not pristine. You told me she got shot. So part of her face is pristine, but where she got shot, which is through the eye, because that's anime, it's a mess. It's a ruin. And she takes the banner, and she says, the two of you, looks like you need some rest.
Yes. That's my comrade here is slightly wounded.
Yeah, if you've got somewhere we could rest up for the night, that would be appreciated, Lieutenant.
She nods and says, follow the street over there, and you go to the troop barracks, and we'll try to keep the two of you well provisioned while you're on your stay here. And she turns towards the funeral pyre. No, I'm not gonna make her throw it into the fire.
I was gonna say, in fairness, the turning her back was enough.
Okay. Is that it? Okay, all right. What are you gonna do, Orlun?
Yeah, I'm going to step up behind her and attempt to slit her throat.
Oh, okay. You're not even like doing this reducing your ruin surreptitiously. All right. Okay. No, go ahead. Let's see. Let's look at your stuff. You're not trying to escape. You're trying to. Yeah. What kind of bargain can I even give you? You would just roll a dark die.
Yeah, I think that seems fair.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the appropriate moment for that. That's a 4.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna do it, but there's a complication, of course. I mean, what bigger I don't know what bigger complication can I add other than fucking Kasien seeing this. I think here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna reach up and slit her throat. Okay, you can do that. You slit her throat, and you can. Oh, go on.
No, carry on. No, that was
all right. You can slit her throat, and you can kind of see like the blood trickle very slowly out of her throat, as if it's coagulated too much. And she says in a hoarse whisper, because you've cut her throat, dear, it seems to me, Cadet Kasien, that your friend is being awfully subordinate. Would you care to show him what happens to those who are insubordinate? That's an order, Cadet Kasien.
And Kasien is I think I just start crying because I see Anya dying yet again. And
no, she's still standing up. She's not like falling down. She is like,
yes, no,
it's always she's floating, but she's holding the banner, but she's still standing there.
Yes, but I can see that the wound is that's usually would be a mortal wound. So I will raise my musket, pointed at Orlun.
She's not real, lad. She's just a ghost or something. Whatever's in this place is messing with us. I need this banner. I need it.
And would you care to tell me how I know that you are real? To me, you're nothing compared to the memories of my companions.
I'm real. I'm alive. And he's going to hold out a hand and say, "Feel. I have a pulse. I'm not like these walking corpses."
Oh.
Cadet Kasien, you know this man is a murderer. You know he does whatever it takes to get what he wants. And what he wants is a piece of cloth. What kind of man is that, Cadet Kasien? Not like you. A soldier. A man of honor. Someone who fights for a cause. She turns to you, Casey, and says, "You've had no cause for quite some time, right? You've been so alone these past few years."
Yes. And no, it is not true that I have not had a cause. Through all these years, I've always desired to prove myself again, to prove that I'm not just a coward, not just the one who ran away, the one who lived.
She kind of nods, which is weird because it squelches her throat and a bit more blood bubbles out. And she says, "Here you wash away those memories. Here you are not a coward. You are not just the one who live. Here you are one of us, Cadet Kasien, a warrior doing their duty." I'm going to ask you for a ruin roll for you to see how well you resist this.
It's a 4.
Okay, cool. So you're still fine. What do you do?
Because of the result of that ruin roll, I think Kasien sees or remembers rather that there is more to his life, or at least there could be. There's the hope of reuniting with his family, of showing his of showing the soldiers that blamed him, called him a coward, that he still has honor, and so he looks at Orlun and just shakes his head and turns around and walks away. Because he knows that if he stays in his presence and in the presence of these ghostly soldiers. He will not long resist their orders to kill him.
I think the drill sergeant Anya, she sees you walk out, probably out of the fort town, and Orlun, you're still here. You see her face sort of change, almost melt, as if anything that was like not decomposed suddenly starts aging as she starts spitting. Coward! Coward! That's what you are. I've always known. So weak. I've tried to push you, Cadet Kasien, but here you are running away. And she's holding the banner like quite precariously, Orlun. It almost flutters into the flames. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm just going to say he may be a coward, but he's alive, and that's the important thing. And grab onto the banner with both hands, and it's basically just going to try and wrench it out of her hands and run with it.
Good old escape routine, eh?
Indeed.
That's fair. All right, so you get that one die. Look, you're up against what we term in this game a monstrosity. Yes, this one has a name, but that's just a thing I'm doing for this incursion. But yeah, you're gonna have to. You have to push your mind and body to do this. Okay. Do you want a devil's bargain? I will say we are kind of nearing the end. I'll just flag that.
Yeah, I think I probably won't for the time being. I'll just roll and see what happens.
Okay. Oh dear.
I think I will be adding another dark dice to that roll.
Okay. All right.
That's a 4 on the dark dice.
All right. Okay. Here's what's gonna happen. You wrench the banner kind of out of her hands. Oh, hold on. Let me double check something. Yeah, you're gonna see, but there's a complication. So what's going to happen is the complication is you're still gonna do it, but the ring on your finger, which you've not said you've taken off, it tightens and it breaks your finger as it tightens really hard. And yeah, you wrench the banner, and where do you run? Where do you go?
I think it's going to have to be back towards the battlefield. The only way he can even think of getting out of here is to retrace his steps, basically. So,
all right. So you have to give me another roll. And there are things that I kind of planned that you're not gonna be able to win against, but I want to see how this rolls to see how well you do, and then I'm gonna cut back to Casey and see what he's doing, just so we can like frame what happens ultimately to the two of you.
Sure thing.
All right, so try to retrace your steps there, Mister. Is this another form of escaping?
It does look that way. I mean, I could maybe say it's tracking instead.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of.
It could be. All right. Pushing, yeah.
That's a 6 on the light die.
Wow!
I know, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jesus, you are. See, the thing is, you're going to escape then. You're going to run through. You're going to get past. You're going to like run through the hell run again, get through. But the thing is, that banner you have, I mean, come on, that was given to the two of you by someone who shouldn't be alive. What? But then again, you got a 6. But then again, I've planned this from the very start, that this banner, yeah, I think, actually no. What's gonna happen is you're gonna run through this. You're gonna get through relatively unscathed, except this ringer which refuses to come off. Like, it's just on you now. Nice treasure, but you can't get rid of it unless you cut off your finger. I think you run through this horrific battle run again, and when you get to the edge, and you kind of collapse next to the dead corpse that you took the sword off, I think you're not a soldier like Kasien who's done all this banner stuff, and even though you have all these memories, look, there's a difference between running with a banner in dreams and running a banner in IRL. So I think when you kind of bring up the banner to yourself, it scraps. It's a torn patch of the mailed fist. And that's all that's left. Not even half of the mailed fist. As you probably like collapse at the edge of the battlefield. Just tired beyond belief. Let's go to Casey, and I just want to show you where you are. Where do you go when you walk away?
So I go into this town, deep into this town, and I just trace the paths, and I have a feeling that it all looks kind of familiar. I'm sort of just going wherever my memory or my gut, or just wherever my feet takes me.
Takes you to an inn. Familiar inn. Not the one the two of you stayed on, but it's an inn you will recognize. You go in, and there's the barkeep. Gives you, we raise a glass at you. There's a table set for a family. You sit down, all muddy, tired, just completely drained, and your family sits around you. There's your wife, who's been missing for a while. There's your estranged daughters. They sit down, they give you a smile, and they say, "We missed you. We missed you, Papa. Been gone in the war for so long."
Yes, I'm so sorry. Your dad, he thought he was stupid. He thought that bravery and honor was worth more than being with you. And he was so desperate that he thought finding a lost heirloom of the proof that his grandfather's grandfather was a noble warrior, that he was brave, would somehow be enough to convince himself and others that he was brave too.
I think your wife kind of sidles up to you and says, "Shush, shush, you don't need to explain. You came back. That's what matters." And I'm going to propose an ending here. You're clearly not home. I think she kind of leans forward, and you smell the stench of her rotting form. And she says, "You came back, but you failed us." And you feel the knife slip under your ribs. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I whimper out my last words. Which I think will remain a mystery.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's get a last shot of Orlun. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna make you roll to get out of the forest. I think you've got your fair share of memories. You have some sort of trophy. What's the last shot we see of Orlun?
I mean, it's really tempted to repeat the last time I played and have him join the weirdos outside.
Yeah, I realized that because I know the last time I ran trophy with David, there were also a bunch of weirdos on the first ring, but I mean,
but no, I think the last shot we see is Orlun is back in the inn that they passed through earlier, and I think he pulls like a bottle of spirits off the shelf, sort of takes a swig and like spits the first one out and goes, tastes like corpses, but then carries on slugging it down. And I think we just sort of see him like passed out by the bar, a sort of empty bottle rolling away from him.
Oh, I thought of my last words now.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just whimper. Sorry, there's a cat in the background. And whisper, oh, much, much.
All right. Yeah, that's it for this game of Trophy. Thanks so much to our wonderful players here for just playing to the hilt. That was God. I mean, oh man, that's gonna stay with me for a few hours, for a couple of days. Oh my God, thanks so much. If you want to check out Trophy, folks, there's a link down below. You can find it. Codex Dark 2. This incursion, the Forest of Blades, will be out in Codex Melancholy, which is horribly appropriate. Out next week. Yeah, check out all the God stuff. Check out all the stuff plugged by Einar and David. Again, thanks so much to the two of them. They're fantastic. I'm going to stop this broadcast now so we can have a chat and I can ask them if they like this or not. All right, I'm going to stop this broadcast. Goodbye, YouTube.